ISHTUers. It's Carlos and Sofia here with this week's episode. What a treat we've got in store for you. Sofia's got a deal going very, very awry. Shouldn't happen to us. And when we analyze where this deal started going awry, guess what? We find out it started, as Julie Andrews said, right at the very beginning. The problem started at the beginning. And hey, if you listen along, you'll find out why most deals go awry and what you can do about it. Enjoy the pod. Enjoy the episode, guys.
Straight from Miami, this is It Shouldn't Happen to Us. After 30 plus years of selling and training sales teams, we still screw it up sometimes. And this is where we tell you all about it, because it shouldn't happen to us. Whoa, hello, ISHTU subscribers. Yes, hello to the ISHTU subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, then we're not saying hello to you. Just kidding. Just subscribe, and then hello to you.
If you're spending 20 minutes with us today, we love you lots like jelly tots anyway. But if you went and subscribed and I think we'd love you a little bit more, if that's possible. But we love you all. We love you all. And I'll tell you why we love you all. Because we're following that. We're in your moccasins. Sophia and I are walking in your moccasins. Exactly what you get, we get. And it shouldn't happen to us because we're supposed to be the gurus. With that thought in mind, Sophia, how's that deal going, the biggie?
It's making me hashtag unwell, this deal, Carlos.
Yeah, aren't we supposed to know better than that?
We really should know better.
Shouldn't happen to us. Listen, viewers, we did have a little discussion before the event. I knew that the deal was going a little bit, I'm going to be kind, a little bit south. And that can happen, happens to you, happens to me, happens to everyone. What's interesting is when we pass that, let's think back. When do you think the problem started? When did the rot set in?
Right at the beginning.
How do you know today that this deal's giving you heartburn? What is it about this deal that's giving you heartburn?
It went south right from the very beginning. What we tell our clients to do is to make it very easy to say no at the beginning so that it's nearly impossible not to say yes at the end.
Oh, wait a minute.
I betrayed my process.
That was beautiful. Just tell them again what it's supposed to look like. Tell them again.
Well, in a nutshell, it's qualify hard to close easy. So we want to make it very, very easy for them to say no at the top so that by the time you're asking them to marry you, by the time you're doing a quote, proposal, presentation of sorts, it's nearly impossible not to say yes, because you really shouldn't be proposing to someone that you're not at least 99.9% sure is going to say yes. And I betrayed my process because I wimped out. I wimped out at Wimp Junction, which we'll unpack in a moment. And because they were a buddy.
That's interesting. What? Why do we call it Wimp Junction? Tell the audience about Wimp Junction. When is Wimp Junction? What is Wimp Junction? And why? And tell them about it. Go.
Well, listeners, ISHTUers, Wimp Junction there is a junction at the top of every sales interaction where it's hello, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect. Nice to meet you. There's a junction where you can either go left and follow your process, or you can go right and follow the buyer's process. And the takeaway here isn't buyers or liars, because we are also buyers, right? When we're not selling, we are sellers, but we are also buyers. And the buyer's process usually leads to doom and gloom. It usually leads to some type of price war. It leads to bad things. Arm wrestling and proving and just bad things. And so it's from the top. It's from the top of that sales interaction that you decide what direction you're going to go in. And it's hard to turn back around once.
Here's the thing. I think we all hit Wimp Junction right at the beginning of a sales process. This might be somebody you've known for a while, like in your case, but it's a sales process. Mm-hmm. And you open a sales process, you step onto that catwalk, right? And you hit Wimp Junction, and you've got a choice. I can go left towards a world of mutual respect and a great decision, or I can go right towards they like me. We like each other. We're having a nice time together. And I think you've got to be pretty clear, right? If you're not really clear, I find this, let's stop talking about the world. Let me talk about me. If I'm not really clear about which direction I want to go in, I can end up going down I can go right. I can go towards the world of we like each other, we're having a nice time together. Because we're tribal animals, human beings. We want to be in an environment where we're getting on well with everybody. Why wouldn't you want to be in that environment? We can even sometimes convince ourselves that that's where the money is. Turn right towards the money. It's not. It's like you're getting on an aeroplane. You turn left towards the money. You turn right towards the cattle class, right? You want to turn left towards the money. And it's and unfortunately, if we haven't even asked ourselves the question before we hit Wimp Junction, when we find ourselves like Alice speaking to the Cheshire Cat, when the Cheshire Cat says, well, where are you going? Alice says, I don't know. And Cheshire Cat says, well, what difference does it make which road you take? If you don't know where you're going, it makes no difference. Go left, go right, go either way. But if you want to go to the money, and here's the magic part, long term, that's also where the fun of the relationship is. It's turn left towards the money, towards the long-term relationship of mutual respect. And yet, just like you're talking about, happens to me all the time. I get tempted towards the right. I do. And it's disaster. I think there's a reason. Ever worked. Go ahead.
I think there's a reason why it's called Wimp Junction, because you wimp out. And there's reasons why you wimp out and follow the buyer's process, because your process is hard. Having a strong sales process means you got to be cool with challenging your prospect a little bit. And if you have any need for approval, that's hard to do. If you don't like conflict, the Wimp Junction, doing the buyer's process, feels a lot yummier than challenging your prospect and if you have aversion to conflict. So there's a reason why it's called Wimp Junction.
I believe that if your beliefs about what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're doing it with, yourself, if your beliefs are flawed, this is an almost unscalable mountain. If your beliefs aren't rocks, especially if you're with and I know in the deal you're talking about, you're with a particularly challenging buyer. But remember, there's no such thing as a bad buyer. No such thing as a bad prospect.
Can't blame them.
Can't blame them. But, you've got a particularly challenging one there. And if your beliefs aren't absolutely solid, then they're going to pull you towards that. They're going to pull you right at Wimp Junction. They really are. What have you got to tell everybody what you've got to have rock solid beliefs in?
Well, folks, get ready to take some notes, because we're about to unload on you the 4 P's of belief when it comes to selling.
Do it.
So
boom. Drop that magic.
So
boom. Drop it. Dropped.
The first one is people. Belief in the people involved in the selling scenario, both yourself and the prospect. You can't go into every sales call thinking prospects love to beat me up on price. Prospects love to beat me up and drag me through the weeds, because you're going to keep manifesting that. And you're also at a subconscious level going to create a dynamic where that you pretty much ask them to do it. You might as well have sent them an email agenda
ahead of time.
Ahead of time.
Item 1, introductions. Item 2, prospect beats the crap out of me. Item 3, you communicate it. You got to believe in them.
Oh, yeah, believe in them. Well, what does that mean to you, Carlos?
So it's so tempting, I believe. Sales is such a rejection-rich environment that I believe it's tempting from an ego point of view to blame the prospect for my own shortcomings. That's what I believe. I believe that I can go 2 or 3 sales dropped, 2 or 3 deals I should have closed that I didn't. And then I either have to face the truth that I've done something to contribute to this and I need to change something, or it's their fault. I've got to believe one of those two. I've got to believe it's me or it's them. Do you know how difficult it is for somebody to believe it's them? So it's me, right? To look in the ugly mirror and say, I need to fix something here. So I'm left with the other alternative. They're idiots. Do you know my market? Idiots. Do you know my competitors? They're too cheap. You know our pricing? Completely out of whack. You know we should offer this service and that service. You know I didn't have the collateral. Boss, what do you want from me? It's the leads. It's the leads. It's like that scene out of Glengarry Glen Ross. It's not me. It's the lead.
Zero ownership. Zero ownership.
So what have I got to believe? I've got to believe this is a cool guy that needs this is a cool gal that needs my help. I've got to be steely to it, get to a great decision. I owe it to them. It's my responsibility. I've got to believe that. I've got to believe they need me. They need my help to make it great. I've also got to believe it's an important decision. I doubt you're watching this podcast if you're selling chewing gum. Unless you're selling chewing gum by the truckload, in which case subscribe and like, because that's a lot of value. But you got to, if you believe that what you do is important, and if you don't, find another job. If you believe that what you do is important, it's a contributor to society, and there's a lot of people's jobs on the line. Hey, on average, for every salesperson, they support 20 people in an organization. That's 20 mortgages getting paid, 20 sets of kids with shoes, school fees and vacations. That's 20 families. One sales guy. If you believe that what you do is important, then believe that the person you're talking to needs your help. They deserve your help, good. Right? So you got to believe in them, and then you got to believe in yourself, right?
You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your product.
What does it look like if you don't believe in your product? What happens?
You're not going to believe in your price. You're not going to believe. You're going to let yourself get. There's the other P. If you don't believe in your product, you won't believe in your price.
Yeah, and if you don't believe in your price, you're kind of done. But they're separate, right? You got to believe in your product. You got to look at it, and you got to say, hey, who this is a product that the market needs. This is a product that the market is receptive to. There's a place for this product in the market. It doesn't mean your product is the best. Hey, what's the most successful restaurant brand in the world? Sophia?
McDonald's.
It's not the best. The market needs McDonald's. I personally don't like McDonald's, but that's okay. No judgment from me. The market has valued McDonald's extraordinarily high. There's a place for McDonald's in the market. There are some people that love a McDonald's. I remember I picked up Sebastian last year from his soccer. He had 3 weeks in Spain at a soccer camp. I picked him up from the airport. Hey, how was your trip to Spain? Take me to McDonald's, he said. He just wanted McDonald's. It's like, for him, he's been 3 weeks like eating home-cooked food at this soccer academy, and he's like, I need McDonald's. So
yes,
there's a place for McDonald's. Doesn't mean that it's the best. There's a place for it. And by the way, the market will give you a message. Just like the market gives you a message that buyers are in some way flawed and undeserving, the market will also give you a message if you let it. There's something wrong with your product. Something wrong with your product. There is. You know what? Because every prospect is saying, can't we have it this way instead of that way? Your competitor's doing it this other way. I kind of like that. We're surrounded by this noise of you need to change this, you need to change. How many buyers tell you, you should do this better, you should just change that? And we're surrounded by that noise. And it is so easy to get lulled into the siren song of that noise rather than noticing that whilst all that noise is happening, thousands of people are buying your product.
Not everyone is a Rolex customer. Not everyone is a Timex customer. Not everyone's an Apple Watch customer.
Hey, and by the way, interesting you say that, because Rolex watches, they're beautiful, right? They don't always work perfectly. They don't. Which is why when you go to the store where you bought the Rolex, there's a whole department for servicing Rolexes. Rolex don't say to themselves, oh my God, our watches, and they break down from time to time. We should halve the price. No, Rolex don't. Premium is not perfect. This is something you and I so far arm wrestle with our clients about all the time. Mm-hmm. They're at the premium end of the market, and in their mind, they've said, wait a minute, premium means perfect, right? And we're not perfect, so we shouldn't be premium. It's nonsense. Rolexes break down. Lamborghinis break down. Apple watches, Apple that $1,500 for this thing, and it doesn't update, and nothing works for 3 days while the guys at Apple figure it out. They don't send checks of refunds out. Premium is not perfect. You can be premium and guess what? There is nothing that's perfect. So everything's imperfect. You can be premium and imperfect at exactly the same time. It does not undermine the product's, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't undermine the product's legitimacy. That there are some issues with it. Henry Ford made a hell of a lot of money saying you can have any color you want as long as it's black. He made a hell of a lot of money. He was not worried for a moment that his competitors had blue cars and green cars. He was doing something different, and the market responded well. Sales guys, if you're out there, instead of listening to that noise in your head, the noise around you that there's something wrong with your product, look at the thousands of people that buy and use your product every day. There's nothing wrong with your product. It's perfectly fit for market. There's nothing wrong with your pricing. Because what happens if you don't believe in your pricing? At Wimp Junction, and you're a bit uncomfortable about your pricing, what happens?
You drop your pants.
You do. And when you think about me, people don't like to think about that image. That isn't an image that they're thinking about, right?
Listeners, so what do? You got to sell yourself first.
That's the
method. If you're having a hard time doing that, why don't you pick up the phone and talk to one of your customers that love you? Get reaffirmation from one of your customers, especially a recapture customer, someone who was a client, they left and came back. Ask them why they came back.
They'll tell you all you need to hear. They'll tell you all. Now, you got to be careful how you ask that, right? It can be asked in a way that's kind of provocative.
It's a little arrogant.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, nice to see you're back again. I've got to imagine there was for a reason. Yeah, you don't want to
remind me why I'm the shit.
Yeah, tell me. But you know what? Underneath, because there's a graceful way of asking. Hey, you know what, George? It's always. Let me do it for you. Let me role play it. You know what, George?
Okay, go.
It's always cool to see. It's cool to see one of our great customers come back into the fold. You're welcome here. We're going to look after you like we always have done. But help me out, George. Help me out. We're constantly told that there's a problem with this and a problem with that. And then I look at a cool guy like you coming back to us, having worked with one of our competitors. Do you know it's good for my belief set if you can tell me why you came back? I need your help. A little vulnerability, right, guys? I need your help. Can you help me out? Can you help explain it to me just to reaffirm? Because I'm out in the marketplace getting kicked always from Sunday, right? That's a cool vulnerability. You have that conversation with somebody. And it does, especially those recaptures. It does wonders for your belief set, those recaptures. Yep.
Sure does. So question your beliefs. Anytime the noise between your ears is poking holes in one of your 4 pillars, your beliefs about
what are the pillars? The
yourself,
pillars are
people, process,
your sales process. We didn't talk about sales process, your product and your price. Let's quickly talk about your sales process. You got to, let me tell you, in my experience, people will react more strongly to a clash of process than they will to a clash of product or price even. If you're more expensive than they expected to pay, it's like gasp, negotiate, all the theater around pricing. There's all that good theater that goes on. But when they say to you, hey, send me a proposal, because that's their buyer's process, and you say, I'm not going to do that because that's not your seller's process. When there's a clash of process, the emotional response is there. There is a rich emotional response to a clash of process, way outstripping the emotional engagement in a clash of pricing or a clash of product performance. Beware, hold your line on your process. They will thank you for it eventually. Your process should be designed. Your sales process should be designed to help somebody make a great decision, not to close somebody. And let me tell you, their buyer's process is not designed to do that. Their buyer's process is designed to protect them from a devious salesperson, and it's a misplace when they're dealing with you or me or any of our clients or any of our ISHTU listeners. It's a misplace. It's trying to achieve an end that isn't relevant. It isn't valuable. It's designed to protect them from a devious salesperson. And in my experience, it's the buyers that are devious, not the sellers. The sales process, their buyer's process is designed to protect them from a villain that doesn't exist. And it works so hard to protect them from the villain that doesn't exist that it stops them making a great decision. Believe in your process, guys, because there's going to be a clash of price, and you're going to win that. There's going to be
hold on to your process like a doctor holds on to their process, like a plumber holds on, like a mechanic holds on to their process.
And here's a great way to see this at work. There's a really good way to place this at work. Go and find yourself your local, I don't know, pick your brand. Go and find a local Ferrari dealer, Lamborghini dealer, Rolls Royce dealer. Go and find yourself a local dealer of a high-end automobile. And go in and say, without much notice, without much sort of lead in, just say, hey, I wanted to have a test drive of that Ferrari Testarossa or that whatever, and see their sales process at work. Let's see if they get dragged down Wimp Junction. You suddenly find yourself going, 140 down the freeway. Ain't going to happen. Those guys know their process is important, both for the company and for the prospects. Those guys know how to hold their
when you
process.
ask them how much, and they give you the price, and you say, what? I could buy like 4 Audis for that price.
I could get 5 Toyota Camrys for that. Are you insane?
For that price. They say, oh, good, there's a Toyota dealership 4 blocks from here.
Yeah.
Now, we're not telling you to be arrogant in your process. That's not the message here. But believe in your process. And when your buyer tries to gently shepherd you towards their process, plant your feet in your process. Tap the brakes.
So here's your homework, guys. First part of your homework. Hit like and subscribe. Are you insane? This is the best sales content on the web. Trust me, I eat it all, and this is the best. Second part of your homework. I want you to think of the last deal you lost. And I bet you dollars to donuts. There was a flaw there was a chink in the armor. There was something, there was a reason that prospect. And now I'm talking about a deal you lost that you shouldn't have lost. There are some people that don't qualify. That's cool. But there's a deal you lost that you shouldn't have lost that went awry. And I bet you dollars to donuts it was born out of a flaw in your belief about either what you believed about yourself, what you believed about the buyer, what you believed about your process, or what you believed about your product, or what you believed about your price. It is born out of a chink in that armor. And if you can shore up those chinks, if you can feel rock solid, then you stand at Wimp Junction, you turn left towards the money, and then usually that ends up in a very happy place. I mean, you'll get drawn. There's a few Wimp Junctions in it. There's a few Wimp Junctions in a deal, but it doesn't matter how many times you turn from the top. If you at any one of those Wimp Junctions, if you wimp out, you're done. Very hard to recover from a wrong turn. It really is. Hey, Sophia, what an episode, right?
I'm edified.
I don't even know where to go with that. You are amazing. Thank you, Sophia. And to our ISHTU.
Thank you, listeners.
It's a good I hope you have a good week selling, guys. Hey, hit subscribe. Subscribe to our newsletter, too. It's the coolest stuff around. So it's goodbye from Sophia.
And goodbye from Carlos. Thanks for listening.
Take care, folks.